Hey guys, so today I'm going to be showing you how to add a tattoo to a person in Photoshop. So first off, I'm going to just open up the image. Now the first thing you'll want to do is duplicate this image. So go Image, Duplicate, and click OK, and this just creates a copy of the original file. Next you're going to want to desaturate the image, so go Image, Adjustments, Desaturate, then go File, Save As, and save the file as displacement and as a Photoshop document. Then you can close that and we'll get back to that one later. Next thing you want to do is place your tattoo file. So go File, Place, and select your tattoo image. So I'm just going to go and get this set up in the general size and place. Okay, so right about there looks good. And then I'm going to use the transform option to just compensate for the angle of her back a little bit. So that's Command T or Control T on Windows. I'm just going to squeeze it in a little bit. Enter. The next thing we're going to want to do is get rid of any of the tattoo that's overlapping with the clothing or anything else that you have in your image. There's a few ways you can do this. The simplest being simply the eraser tool. You can just go in and erase anything over top of the clothing. You also want to make sure that you've rasterized your tattoo layer so that you can actually make adjustments to it. So go Layer, Rasterize Layer. Another option is to use the Quick Select tool, which is hidden underneath the Magic Wand tool. And you can just go on your background layer and select the area of clothing. And your third option would be to use the Pen tool, which is what I'm going to be using, because it's pretty simple lines that I'm dealing with here, so that seems like the best option. And what I'm going to do is lower the opacity of the tattoo layer so that I can see the clothing through it. And select back to the background layer and just go over it with the Pen tool. Now once you're finished with your path, right click inside of the path and click Make Selection. And on a larger image, I like to give it a little bit of a feather. Even just 1 pixel is usually good enough. Now click back to your tattoo layer and press Delete. And deselect, Command D or Control D. Zoom out. And you can see that this actually looks pretty good on its own right now, but we're going to do a few more things that'll really make it look good. So the next thing we're going to do is incorporate that displacement file that we just created. On the tattoo layer, go to Filter, Distort, and Displace. Now the default settings are pretty much what we want. Horizontal and vertical scale are 10. Displacement map is stretch to fit. Undefined areas is repeat edge pixels. Click OK. And select your displacement file and open. Now from a distance it doesn't really look like it did much. What this does is it actually adjusts the tattoo layer to match the shadows and highlights on the skin and kind of bends it to match the contours of the person's body. So you can see the difference here. I'm going to put my opacity back up to 100%. And I like to add a little bit of a blur to it, just a regular Gaussian blur, just to make it blend with the skin a little bit better. It doesn't take much, just a few pixels. Click OK. Now we're going to want to duplicate this layer with Command J or Control J on Windows. Now the bottom layer, you want to switch the blending mode to saturation, and the top layer you want to set to overlay. This just allows the shadows and highlights to come through the tattoo layer, but it gives it more of a realistic look. So if we zoom out, that looks pretty good. You can play around with the opacity, pull it down a little bit if you want, give it a more natural look. If you want, you can use some of the transform tools, which you can find under the edit menu and transform. Things like warp work pretty well. You can get in and really kind of shift things around. You'd obviously have to do this before you duplicate the layer, but if the displacement map doesn't quite do the job, then you can go in manually and do this sort of thing. So that's pretty much it. If you have any questions, leave them in the comments below and I'll definitely get back to you. If you learned something from this tutorial, please click the like button, favorite it, all that good stuff. And I'm always looking for new ideas for tutorials to do, so if you have any ideas, definitely send them my way. You can post them in the comments, send me a message, or email me at adam@thewiredmedium.com. Thanks for watching.